Okay.
Should I mention the fact that the Grindhouse posters are over there? Well, because it is trashy, chaotic, and over the top. It makes good on the promises set out by the poster. This was the mentality for Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez going into their Grindhouse double bill project. No, fuck that. That was awful.
Yeah.
Lamberto Bava's Demons is a staple of cult cinema. If you were a movie buff in the 80s and 90s, you saw a copy of the VHS with the garish cover art sitting on the shelves of video rental stores the world over. It was a mainstay, a talking point among film enthusiasts. Have you seen Demons?
The sleep of reason gives birth to monsters.
If you hadn't seen it, you'd heard about it, or were planning on taking it out soon. A trashy, chaotic, gloriously over-the-top B-movie phenomenon. But how? It's not critically I can't see. It's not critically oh no. It's not critically praised, nor does it feature actors anyone outside of Italy would recognise. So how did it make its way into countless VCRs across the world in a way that Deep Space, The Dead Pit and Neon Maniacs did not? Well, because it is trashy, chaotic and over the top. It makes good on the promises stated by the poster. This was the mentality for Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez during the making of their Grindhouse double bill. Two movies which promise white-knuckle terror thrilleramas and actually deliver.
Only at the Grindhouse.
Is that good?
Yeah.
I didn't do the point. Fucking hell, Zoe. Eli Roth described Demons as being the gateway drug to Italian horror cinema. A title the film earns twofold.
Hey, slow down. Leave some of that stuff for us.
Firstly, the film is amazing in a way that I think fans of Evil Dead, Black Dynamite and Kung Fury are sure to agree with. But it's more than that, because it has an important function, and that's to introduce newcomers to the world of Italian giallo. Once you get a taste, you'll want more, as they come at you live and direct, straight from hell. Demoni opens with a stalker on the heels of a young woman called Cheryl, shot almost identically to the famous street lamp sequence from Cat People, set to the awesome techno spook score by Claudio Simonetti. The stalker turns out to be an employee of the Metropole Theatre, dressed like a broke-ass T-800 because he's handing out tickets for a test screening of a new horror movie. So Cheryl drags her friend Cathy to the cinema with her, and it is here that we meet the film's cast of cartoonish characters. We've got a girl who doesn't realise it's no longer Christmas, an asshole who's too hilarious to hate,
You shut up.
a couple of creepers, a pimp with a couple of hoes, and this bitch, who's supposed to be looking after her blind-ass dad, but ditches him to make out with Christian Bale from American Hustle. So all these guys take their seats to watch a B-movie about a group of kids who accidentally wake up demons and then shit goes down. The film utilises a movie within a movie device similar to how Quentin Tarantino used it in Inglourious Basterds, insofar as that the on-screen events coincide and ultimately ramp up to a real-world catastrophe for our characters.
Who wants to send a message to Germany?
I have a message for Germany.
It's not long before the inhabitants of hell show up and the patrons of the cinema start changing. What follows is a total blast, a menagerie of violence and unintentional slapstick comedy. It may be silly in its lackluster dubbing, but for every moment of awkward acting, there's a moment like this. That's awesome. However, there is one moment that I cannot defend.
Shut up! Unless you want me to break your head.
Oh, that's Rambo talking, baby. Oh, yeah.
If you sat down with an actor and you told him to do the worst job possible, there's no way it could be that bad. If you haven't seen Demons, I won't ruin the ending on you. All I'll say is that it's a mix of heavy metal and Peter Jackson's Brain Dead, with a dose of motocross for good measure. Now that you've taken the gateway drug, what exactly does it act as a gateway to? What is Italian horror cinema? The natural filmmaker to jump back to is Lamberto's father, the legendary Mario Bava. Following in the footsteps of Riccardo Frida's genre efforts at the end of the 1950s, Bava laid out the blueprint for what the giallo would later become with Black Sunday in 1960. This inspired a younger generation of filmmakers to try their hand at terrorising teenage audiences, among them the king of Italian horror, Dario Argento. After partnering with distribution company Titanus to produce his game-changing Bird with the Crystal Plumage, the landscape of horror was reshaped. Before Argento, There are only 4 or 5 horrors being made in Italy every year, with the majority of studio output consisting of drama or comedy. He quickly followed up his debut with The Cat o' Nine Tails, whose record-breaking success led to a boom in giallo horror.
Il gatto ha 9 code.
This trend continued throughout the 70s and into the early 80s, but nothing lasts forever, as Argento would learn to realise. At the time, Italian television had only 2 channels, in black and white, and if you wanted to show a film, it had to be at least 26 years old. In other words, if a film aired in 1975 on Italian TV, the most recent possible movie that could be shown would have been The Third Man. As a result, cinema became a necessity. If you wanted to see something in colour, if you wanted to see some violence, a naked woman, whatever, you needed the cinema.
Get more out of life. Go out to a movie.
But that all changed in 1976 with the liberation of Italian television. Multiple channels showing all genres in vivid colour. Suddenly, no one needed the cinema anymore. This created a crisis of business being stolen from the big screen by the small screens that extended into the 1980s.
Don't tell me you want to see this stuff.
Oh, leave it on.
Most films in Italy at this time were being made exclusively for TV, with Argento being one of the only cinema directors still around. Lamberto Bava was among these TV directors, having already produced the likes of the excellent A Blade in the Dark. In fact, the only reason Demons exists is because of Argento's Phenomena. He had gone over budget on the project, and in order to recoup the money, another film had to be made. This is where Demons comes in, and because Phenomena is such a success, it puts even more money into Demons. Demons is a resounding success, and Demons 2 was put into production straight away. Widely regarded as being the inferior of the two, Demoni 2 is a more ambitious and interesting film as far as I'm concerned. It reuses actors from the first film, Monty Python style. The punk rock gang leader from the first film is now a front desk security guard, and the pimp is now a bodybuilder who likes to work out with his buddies until the very early hours of the morning. The sequel commits itself to the same confined setting mentality as the first. This time the action takes place almost entirely within an apartment high-rise, reminiscent of the shift to a more corporate aesthetic from Gremlins 1 to Gremlins 2.
This is G2, people.
The details are a bit murky, but as far as I can tell, the film seems to take place sometime after the apocalyptic finale of Demons 1, where the demons have been vanquished and society has been rebuilt. The movie within a movie gag is also reused. This time the inhabitants of the high-rise are tuned into a documentary dramatisation of a bunch of kids who stumble across the body of a demon, and once again, accidentally waking the guy up.
Ouch! What happened? I cut myself.
Look at me.
Come on, Pam, I can't hold this pose all night.
Moving closer. A little bit closer. Ready?
Before long, the demons find their way into the high-rise and shit goes down for a second time. While it may rehash most of the events from its predecessor, it does so with everything cranked up to 11. Did the first Demons have a Deacon-esque devil dog? Don't think so. As with the first, however, Demoni 2 is a film of highs and lows. A big missed opportunity comes with a guy who has hired a hooker for the night. When he takes her back to his room, he asks if they can do it with the TV on. And you're thinking, this is going to be great. They'll be in the middle of it when a demon crawls out of the television to join in. Sadly, this never happens. They finish their business together, he does up his trousers, and shows her out like a gentleman. What? Why? Why the television request then? But when Demons 2 gets it right, it really soars. Bava had a slightly bigger budget to play with this time around, and the special effects are really cool. Pulsating veins, the aforementioned devil dog, and this moment. How cool is that? And it occurred to me, this film features a demon crawling out of a TV. 12 years before The Ring did it. However, the success of Demons and Argento's international appeal were not enough to defy the devastating power of the TV. Horror films had to be played very late at night, and both the ratings and advertiser revenue figures were extremely low. Once the advertisers decided not to play in front of horrors, the entire genre just died off. Demons 2 may not be the madcap rush of energy that is Demons 1, but it becomes more interesting when you consider the allegory that it presents. When asked about his thoughts on television, Dario Argento replied, "Television is demonic." The Church, aka Demoni 3, is where it ends. A third entry was planned following the release of the second, but Lamberto was busy working on other things, so Argento passed the project on to director Michele Soavi, who played Broadcast T-800 from Demons 1. Soavi was uncomfortable with directing the third entry of a series conceived by someone else, and wanted to produce something original. What came to be was The Church, one of the very last classic Italian horrors and the death knell for the Demons franchise. Italian horror is a genre of cinema confined to a strict number of decades, the 1960s to the 80s, where it was left stranded on late-night television and abruptly died on the spot. But it should not be forgotten, and Demons is the lifeblood of the genre, an accessible and delightfully lurid series to encourage a new generation of film fanatics to explore the annals of the genre for themselves. Interesting that the gateway drug works best if experienced at the end of the high, before tracing it back to its source. Demons is often described as being the last great gasp of the Italian horror movie. What was once a main player in the genre now resides on the fringes of extinction, clutching onto whatever life it has left in the collections of film aficionados. However, with the likes of Arrow Video and its mission of revitalization, it begs the questions.
Who were they? Where did they come from? Can they happen again?
I think they could, but what do I know? You can buy the Demon series and hundreds of other titles on Blu-ray from Arrow Video. The link to their website is down below, so check them out. You can also buy their products from Zavi.com, Amazon, HMV.com, or in-store at your local Tower Records. If you don't know, Our Films are a distributor which source and restore pieces of cult cinema which would otherwise be forgotten in time. They do fantastic work and deserve credit for celebrating these movies because they are incredibly important and interesting. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, sure give it a like and a subscribe. And if you want to see more, Zoe has some great content on this channel too, so go check it out. But what would she know?